Car enthusiasts have a saying, you can't drive your house, but you can sleep in your car. We use it to justify the crazy amounts of money we spend on our hobby. And if you had that mortgage money, would you buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini? What about this? A Storyteller Overland GXV Hilt. This is an adventure rig made to get you way outside of civilization and provide all the creature comforts of home once you get there. Air conditioning, hot water, electricity for days. For the next 3 days and 2 nights, this is my home along with my wife and my 2 kids. We're gonna drive around southern Utah and find out exactly what this rig is all about.
We set off from Lake Powell's Lone Rock Beach in a 90,000-pound caravan of 2 Hilts, 2 Storyteller Beast Mode Sprinter vans, a Kenworth-based GXV Epic, and a Jeep Gladiator. The Hilt alone measures 27 feet long with roughly 140 square feet of living space, and it weighs nearly 10 tons when fully loaded. And yet, despite its massive size and heft, the Hilt is not a rolling roadblock. Within a few miles of leaving the Lake Powell shoreline, we're bombing down gravel roads at a pace you'd never even attempt in a white and beige house on wheels.
We left Lone Rock Beach and headed for Alstrom Point on Lake Powell. One of our guides, Steve, said it's the most beautiful campsite he's ever been to. The thing that really stunned me though, right off the bat, was how quick we were driving. We're heading down these gravel roads at 30, 40 miles an hour. Some of them washboards, some of them roller coaster whoops, and the trucks just soaked it up. I said to my wife, Lauren, the thing that scares me is how competent it is at 30 and 40 miles per hour on these loose surfaces, rough surfaces. I don't know where the limit is. It doesn't feel like we're anywhere near it. So then what's gonna happen when I get there? Is it gonna pop up suddenly and spook you? I don't know, but these trucks eat up so much of the surface with so much weight, so high. The truck itself, the cab in the back, is 12 feet tall. The center of gravity of this thing has to be as tall as a small adult. And it feels so stable and so planted. It's really, really impressive.
As we venture further away from civilization, the path progressively changes from a maintained gravel road into a rocky trail. Our pace slows, but the Hilt remains utterly unfazed. With that speed bump behind us, it's a short shuttle to the night's camp. Steve Cruz, Storyteller's VP of Operations and our Sherpa for this adventure, has set expectations high by describing our camp as the most beautiful place he's ever slept. And, well, he may have undersold it. Alstrom Point, with sweeping panoramas of Lake Powell some 1,000 feet below, is painted with nature's full palette. Sandstone streaked with every hue of pink, red, and orange, deep Caribbean blue water, dabs of sage green vegetation. You don't get this experience in a Winnebago.
After that first drive, I really want you guys to understand what makes this vehicle different. The Hilt is built on a Ram 5500. That means it has a Cummins turbo diesel inline 6 engine, 6-speed transmission, and 4-wheel drive. Clearly it's been ruggedized with things like this flare space, steel bumper, a 20,000-pound winch, and these beefy 41-inch tires. But the magic is in the suspension. And I really want you to understand this, because it's unlike anything on a traditional passenger car, SUV, or light-duty truck. At all 4 corners, the stock springs and dampers have been replaced with LiquidSprings. That's a brand name. It's also exactly what it sounds like. Think of air springs, but instead they're filled with liquid. Now there's a twist here. Dampers are typically filled with hydraulic fluid that's incompressible. These are filled with a compressible silicon fluid. And there's 2 volumes for all 4 corners. There's this main unit that can compress up and down, and then there's a cylinder filled with additional fluid. And in between those 2, there's an electronically controlled valve that can switch to vary the stiffness or how soft it is. By continuously adjusting that valve, along with the compressibility of that fluid, there is a ton of control over how this vehicle rides and handles. The system looks at inputs like accelerometers, the steering angle, throttle inputs, and continuously makes adjustments up to 1,000 times per second. gives it incredible body control. It also allows the suspension to adjust with up to 7.5 inches of travel. And when you come into your campsite for the night, tap a button in the cabin and the whole thing levels out so you have a nice flat sleeping spot. The other secret sauce is how this camper box mounts to the frame. There are 2 pivot points that allow it to rotate left and right and fore and aft relative to the frame. And so you don't have this high mounted mass yanking the vehicle around as you're off-roading or even going through corners on paved roads. That, combined with the LiquidSpring suspension, gives this very tall, heavy vehicle an incredible sense of stability and composure. We had a great night's sleep in the Hilt, including the kids. And what more can you ask for when you're camping with kids? I know you're interested in what it's like in here, so let's take a look. Overall, you've got about 7 feet of width and 20 feet of length in here. The camera is sitting on a queen loft bed that's over the cab of the truck. There is a galley kitchen right here. If you remove this countertop, you've got a 2-burner induction top. That can be removed and taken outside the camper if you want to do your cooking outside. You've got a pop-up outlet here with USB outlets, a wireless phone charger, and a household outlet. This cutting board removes to reveal a large sink. You have faucets for drinking water and washing dishes. All of this cabinetry down here has locking drawers, of course, and these cupboards up here lock both in the closed position and they stay up when you open them. Great stuff. This dining area, I think, is really one of the highlights of the quality of craftsmanship in this Hilt. Love the seating surfaces, the stitching. I also love this aluminum backsplash that's got a map of the world on it. This converts into a queen bed, so we had 2 people sleeping up there last night, 2 people down here. This closet is great for storing bedding. It also has a rod for hanging clothes and shelves that fold up if you don't want to use them. Right here you've got your microwave, convection oven, air fryer, fridge and freezer. And then you've got a bathroom here with a shower, toilet, and a sink. Here's your control center. You use this to turn the lights on and off, to check the status of the water tanks, to check your battery capacity, and also control the heat or the air conditioning. Now, if you're going to use the air conditioning and you're somewhere hot, like where we are, it's about 95 degrees during the day, dropping to about 80 at night. So really what you want to do is cool the cabin as much as you can using the ambient temperature and then run the AC at night when it's time for bed, setting it to about 83 or 80 degrees, and that's pretty comfortable. Warm, but comfortable. Heat and hot water are provided with a diesel heater that uses about 0.2 gallons of fuel per hour. Of course, all of the electronic components run off of 16.8 kilowatt hours of lithium-ion batteries. That's enough to run the lights and the water pump for days. But if you're going to use the air conditioning, it's only going to last you about 12 hours. They're recharged either using alternators that are driven by the engine, about 1,300 watts of solar on the roof, or if you're at a campground, you can plug into a 30 amp shore power outlet. We're starting day 2, rolling out from Alstrom Point toward Escalante. It's a bit of a lumpy, rocky walk out of here. We're gonna hit some quicker roads. I hear we're gonna hit some roads with a little bit of side angle on them, so it should be some interesting driving, but for now, it's one last glimpse of this incredible beauty. The contrast between the orange and tans and the rocks and the teal of the Lake Powell is just so stunning.
Back on the trail, we zigzag north toward Escalante. A couple hours into the drive, the road traces a 5-mile-long, 1,200-foot switchback climb up Smoky Mountain. with stunning vistas that will take your breath away if the nerve-fraying drop-offs don't do so first. The road is relatively smooth, but the steep grade means I rarely get above first gear, even with my foot on the floor.
We are nearly to the top of Smoky Mountain Pass here. It's a totally epic switchback. Grades of up to about 12 degrees. We're in 4 low, a lot of first gear, second gear crawling. Fairly loose surface, but no issues with traction. A little bit of exposure, but there's a nice kind of built up area of this loose surface that kind of feels like there's a guardrail of sorts for you. That was a really awesome section of driving. Not necessarily technical or challenging, but just fun. Great views. Feels really special. Makes you wonder, who put this here? Why does this trail exist through here? And yet I'm so happy it does.
With frequent stops to stretch little toddler legs, day 2 is a long one, and it gets even longer when we make a wrong turn on the trail. By the time we realize the error, we're committed to pushing on rather than turning back. That's what the Hilt is made for, right? When you're traveling with a fully furnished apartment, you can sleep anywhere. And that wrong turn ends up being the perfect mistake when we drop into a tight canyon roughly twice as wide as our trucks. Sandwiched between vertical sandstone walls ragged at the bottom from flash flooding and worn smooth at the top from millennia of erosion, it feels like we've stumbled on a secret we weren't supposed to find. For the next hour, every turn reveals a new marvel. And when we finally spill out into a grassy clearing, we're all wide-eyed with wonder and filled with the deep sense of calm that comes from feeling cosmically small. The truth is, you don't have to venture off the beaten path to find raw beauty or rugged adventure in this part of the country. But the Storyteller Overland GXV Hilt has taken us on a singularly unique trip, one that lives up to the name of the company. We'll be telling and retelling this story for years to come.
Morning, day 3, we've packed up camp. We are now headed toward Escalante, Utah, where we're gonna pick up the highway and head back to where we started from. So this adventure is coming to an end, and all the feelings start to come together. And what this Hilt is all about is exploring new places, making new memories, and meeting new people that become new friends. I feel so fortunate to have been here with my family, to have taken my kids to see these places that look nothing like home in Michigan.
We re-enter civilization and return to reality at the first gas station in Escalante. The Cummins diesel has averaged 5 miles per gallon according to the Ram's trip computer, and the Hilt's fuel tanks, capable of holding 74 gallons, collect their toll. Of course, if you have the means to buy a Hilt, you can probably afford the fuel too. At nearly $500,000, the Hilt is either crazy expensive or reasonably priced. It just depends on whether you think of it as twice the cost of a Porsche 911 GT3 or half the price of a Southern California starter home. I'll just say this, playing that fantasy game, if you were going to spend all your money on a car you're going to live in, what would you buy? It's hard to imagine living a better life in anything else.